Alrighty then, deep breaths, ladies and gentlemen. Hey friends, what's going on? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate. Really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, third video of the day. Frantic and incessant Chelsea news circulating around the footballing ether that will calm down and resolve itself largely before the transfer window is shut. Lots of stuff going on. Chelsea have a massive squad with players going to leave. Of course, there's huge centre-forward sagas regarding Ivan Toney. Victor Osimhen could be chasing the bag with Saudi now. Chelsea and Manchester United apparently intrinsically linked, certainly with Jadon Sancho and maybe Raheem Sterling, a little bit more on Chilwell and stuff as well. And I do want to go through the quotes from Enzo Maresca's pre-match press conference. Of course, Chelsea are playing a match, the second leg against Servette tomorrow evening. I'm not previewing that match. I will preview all the matches throughout the season, but there's just too much going on with transfers and stuff today. So we're going to speak about that. Keep it locked. Bear with me. It's hectic. I'm going to get you through it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Let's get into it. Right, so Miguel Delaney of The Independent, of course, initially reported about Chelsea speaking to Manchester United for, obviously, Raheem Sterling and Jadon Sancho, but also Ben Chilwell. It's since come out. Fabrizio Romano refuted the fact how Chelsea, essentially called horse, on Chilwell to Man United, and actually since Miguel Delaney has come out and edited said article that we reacted to here on the channel. Yes, they are not currently investigating Ben Chilwell. Chilwell's an interesting one. Maresca really likes his character. It's such an obvious profiling issue. Probably largely the same with Raheem Sterling, but Raheem Sterling is on absolutely crazy wages. He is by far Chelsea's highest earner, especially in Lukaku's absence. Now he's gone to Napoli, or in the process of going to. I do wonder if Chilwell, as Chelsea's current vice-captain, could find a way to be reintegrated into the Chelsea side in a different role, as an auxiliary left winger. I mean, he's not the kind of winger Maresca likes. Maresca's been very particular that Raheem Sterling is not the kind of winger that he likes. And he is a winger! Chilwell is not a winger. He likes more Noni Madueke style players, and that is just Noni Madueke. Ben Chilwell is not Noni Madueke, right? So I do wonder what we'll do, but I feel that they'll have to retrain him as a wide left-sided centre-back, personally. He can't invert into midfield. He's an offensive wing-back. He's not a left-sided centre-back, but if they need to try and just train him, they'll look to be, Malagusto or Reece James inverts into the midfield, and he will be that fullback that tucks in to make a sort of wide centre-back. That's the only thing I can see him doing, and even then it's just not what he does, and you'd probably be better off playing like an academy kid, and that suits the role better. So I do worry for Ben Chilwell. Ideally, we really would like to find a transfer for him. Alone somewhere where we subsidize. How radically this is an issue. Half his wages. We pay half his wages just for him to go on loan somewhere to play football. That's what I can see happening. I do actually think he would have been suitable for Manchester United, like I said in a previous video, but doesn't look like that's happening. Love Ben Chilwell, think he's a really good player, but profile-wise, it's an inappropriate player for Maresca's system, and I hope we find a way we can get him out playing football, because him playing development football with the kids is not the way forwards, genuinely. Let's move on. Alright, Bobby Vincent has published on Football.London that Benoit Badiashile has no chances of leaving before the window deadline. People of close to him have informed him of that. Of course, we've heard of Axel Disasi could go, but not Benoit Badiashile. He, I guess, is being viewed as the deputy to Levi Colwill as the left-footed, left-sided centre-back, which, fair enough, I don't think anyone would have massive issues with. Of course, as we reacted to earlier, the situation with Trevoh Chalobah could yet still be reintegrated into the side if Axel Disasi goes. It does seem like a centre-back will be sold. And If a centre-back is sold, Chelsea are looking at buying Thomas Araujo. Araujo. Is it Ho? Joe? G? Thomas, Benfica centre-back. There's no bid at this stage, but he's really appreciated by Chelsea as per CNN Portugal. Fabrizio Romano tweets or posts on X. PSG also looking at him kind of similarly in the same way if a centre-back leaves them in the shape of Milan Skriniar. Skriniar might accept an Al Nassr proposal to go and play in the Saudi Pro League, and should he do that, PSG will look to bring in Thomas as a replacement, and we're kind of in a similar position, it looks like, if I don't know I guess Axel Disasi goes, will look supposedly to put a bid in for the Benfica centre-back. I wonder if it's the same with Trevoh Chalobah. Like, this is a question, like, were we always going to sign a centre-back if Chalobah goes? Because Chalobah looked like a priority sale. But then again, I've speculated on the 2 videos prior to this one that because Chelsea have done quite good business and looks like they feel confident to do more sales, and, you know, this reported sell-on clause for the massive Mark Guehi fee, which would represent a big pure profit chunk, maybe Chelsea feel comfortable to not have to sell Trevoh Chalobah. Maybe behind the scenes, they've been really impressed with his attitude, and, you know, even though he's training away, he might be training really well, and they might think, you know what, let's have him as a backup option. Again, poor lad keeps having to prove himself. Look, I'm going to be real with you, man and ladies. I haven't watched Thomas Araujo play football, but by all accounts, better authorities than I explain, that this guy is a good centre back. Lots of people posting in the replies like his, you know, sofa score or, you know, match review stats and stuff, and apparently he's very good. So he, I imagine, will be a good option, and I guess if PSG are also looking at him to potentially replace Skriniar, he's got to be good as well, isn't he? That is interesting. Let's talk about Osimhen then. Alright then. So many conflicting reports for the Nigerian superstar. Like, Saudi's tax-free, right? I'm assuming it's tax-free out there. And when you earn £600,000 per week, tax-free, that is silly money tempting. So Al Ahly have offered Osimhen 30 million per year for 4 years, which supposedly and reportedly is about £600,000 UK sterling. Pounds, 600,000. I'm gonna keep saying it. £600,000 per week, and if I'm right to assume it's tax free, because look, what would Chelsea offer? At most, a third of that, £200,000 a week, and we'll fit half of that immediately gone on tax. So 100k a week he'll be getting. It's he'll be taking home 6 times as much in Saudi than at Chelsea. Now look, this is football. Cry me a ruddy river for earning only 100k a week after tax. But my word, that's testing. It's peas, bruv. That is serious dollar. That is lots of money. That is bread. That is hella bread. That is stacks, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, this is a big test for him. Hold on, I think my Amazon delivery's here. One sec. Turns out it was just the cat coming through the cat flap. Yeah, serious money, and money that we can't compare. Nothing compares to Saudi money. Look, his agents come out and says, look, he doesn't want to go to Saudi. Well, I'll tell you what, mate. Reports suggest that the representatives of Al Ahly, or indeed probably just the Saudi Pro League, because it's like a holistic collective project, in it, in terms of the PIF or whatever, they've gone to Italy to like convince him, speak to him, and look, mate, it's just slam dunk that big pile of cash on the table, innit? Let's not be silly sausages about it. At the end of the day, mate, if he just wants money, go and get your money, whatever. You know, it's not like the first time we've seen this. Do you know what I mean? We've had Diego Costa was amazing for Chelsea. As soon as he got a whiff of you know, the China money, he went. Oscar did as well. Not that Oscar was a big, you know, a Chelsea legend or anything, but whatever. It's your right. Go and get the money, and we'll be okay. I keep saying that we've just scored 6 goals away from Wolves, and that's before, you know, certain players have settled in, certain attackers, Neto, Felix, even Gu to a degree, whatever. And I think we're gonna be okay. You know, we've got Cole Palmer, Noni seemingly coming into his own, scoring more goals. I think we'll be fine, to the point where I don't think we should be silly with our money. And also, before we get into these Enzo Maresca quotes, Ivan Toney, like, yeah, I do feel a bit strange about Ivan Toney because he seemed like such an obvious go-get-him player for many teams. And when I mean many teams, obviously Tottenham before they signed Solanke, but Tottenham, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, you know, even like other Champions League clubs in Europe or whatever. He seems like such a go-and-get-me player or come-and-get-me player. He's there. Chelsea, the links with Toney are real. They are real. Chelsea are feeling out the idea of buying Toney. And I do think, and this is just me speculating, so don't take this as a gospel, if we don't get Osimhen over the line, which seemingly hanging in the balance, I think we sign Ivan Toney. And I'll be happy with that. Before we, again, one final thing before we get into Enzo Maresca's comments. Jadon Sancho remains a real possibility. Of course, he's been linked to Juventus as well. Potentially a loan with an obligation to buy. But I actually, from reading certain things, I do think Chelsea do really like Jadon Sancho. Not just as a young, you know, U25 player with that matches their sort of portfolio of high value assets project, as a player that Maresca knows very well and would like to use in his Chelsea team. Okay, so the Sancho thing, the Sancho desire is a very real thing. I think he'd like to come to Chelsea also, but I don't think he'd have to lower his wages. So we'll of course follow that story closely. And Raheem Sterling, in terms of an update with him, Chelsea are gathering, and I like this actually, Chelsea are gathering proposals from clubs. So Crystal Palace, although apparently withdrawn now, but you know, the Aston Villas and Crystal Palaces that have been loosely linked, whether they're still in the game for Sterling, I don't know. Certainly Man United, probably Juventus, because they are looking at him as well as Jadon Sancho, that's a wide forward. I imagine Saudi probably remains there for Sterling as well. Maybe some other Italian clubs, that would be interesting. I'm not sure he wants to go further afield, but the idea is that Chelsea are gathering club proposals that they would be prepared to accept or negotiate the final details towards the transfer window shutting, and they want to show them to Sterling out of respect, like, right, would you be prepared to do any of these? If you do, you know, to go and play football, if that suits you, we'll go in and negotiate the final details. And that's probably the best way to go and do it. Alright, so we are playing football tomorrow, second leg in Servette. Let's see what Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca has said on the matter. I'm going to be citing Absolute Chelsea on X for the quotes here today. To keep with the what's in vogue for Chelsea managers, he was late to his pre-match press conference. On team news, he's confirmed that Romeo Lavia is still out, Reece James is still out, and both Pedro Neto and Malagusto are not in the squad. And this is just for protection, I guess, for red zoning and overload. He says hopefully Reece James will be back after the international break. A sobering reminder there, ladies and gentlemen, that we are going into an international break after this weekend, I believe, which is hella boring and frustrating. So he was asked about the transfer window, unsurprisingly, the Chelsea manager. He says this, look, I said many times, the most important thing for us is to try and be focused on where we are and where we're trying to improve. The only thing we can control. Many things, guys, can happen. We are very close to the window closing, but the main focus has always been on the pitch. I think he is eyes wide open. He is lucid to the fact how he's managing Chelsea Football Club, and so much can happen. Of course, there's been many links to strikers, so he asked what these links to strikers mean for current Chelsea striker Nicholas Jackson. The Chelsea manager said this: "I didn't speak to Nicholas about this. I had a meeting with Nicholas yesterday, but just about the amount of good things he is doing with us." Oh, that sounds like a positive meeting. He goes on to say, "I don't think Nicholas needs a chat. He is our 9, our striker. In this moment, we are very happy with him." And as he should be, by the way, as we all should be. We should all generally be very happy with Nicholas Jackson for a multitude of reasons. In this moment, he, look, it's no secret. Enzo Maresca can say all he wants, mate. We are in heavy negotiations to sign Victor Osimhen. So it'll be interesting to hear what tune changeth if we do make that acquisition and what he says about Osimhen. Because, again, Maresca's been very clear. All transfers at Chelsea are being run past him. Yes, there's a project. Yes, there's a long-term thing, but he is being spoken to about it. And again, they were big players. You know, maybe, okay, fair enough. Raheem Sterling's on silly money, and they don't want that anymore. But Ben Chilwell is on less money than Reece James, and probably just less money than Nkunku. If Ben Chilwell fit the project, fit Maresca's system, the Chelsea project would be very happy to keep Chilwell. You know, as vice captain, speaks well, represents the club as well, but because Maresca doesn't fit into a system, they're like, all right, you know, it's fine, do what you want with him, make him out of the bomb squad. So he's got a lot of power. He is not a yes man, Maresca. There's a multitude of examples of that. So he is getting, like, everything's getting run past him, clearly. He was asked about the transfer window shutting. When the transfer window is open, he reiterates anything can happen. When it's closed, we will be more happy and we can focus on the squad we have. He says, "I can say that it's not a mad club, Chelsea, in this transfer window, because since I joined the club, the team is working in one direction." And I can sort of see that. There's an idea in what we want to do. There's a plan. There's, you know, they will fluctuate from the main plan if it suits them, if there's opportunity, but he sees joined up thinking here. So of course he was asked about Raheem Sterling, massive blockbuster story for Chelsea and indeed Premier League football at the moment. And the Chelsea manager reiterates this. He says, "I have said already many times, he's a fantastic person. The only thing that every manager has a different idea. He is not. He keeps saying this over and over in press conferences. He's not the type of winger I like." That doesn't say anything about Raheem. The history and the numbers speak for Raheem. And when he says this, I'm sure he's referencing four Premier League titles, I think, and cups, 100 Premier League goals, loads of, you know, appearances for England. Still in his 20s. Great player. But I don't like him. That's what he's saying. He doesn't suit me. Big cojones on the Chelsea manager. Big truth. Stern truth. And I must say, I like it. He goes on to say, for all the players that are training apart from the main group at the moment, before the transfer window closes, they will not play. So he says, yeah, the ones that are, essentially, paraphrasing here, the ones that are in the shop window will not feature until that window is shut, and then maybe some will be reintegrated. He was asked about Jadon Sancho. Of course, unsurprisingly, he says this: "If we can sign a player that will help us, for sure I would, if we can. Jadon is not our player. I know him very well, but he is not our player. I think he would like, this is me speaking, I think he would like Sancho. I think Sancho would like Chelsea. It's all down to the money, right?" And interestingly, he was asked about Mykhailo Mudryk, who of course was substituted half-time against Wolverhampton Wanderers when the game was 2-2. And then in the second half, we scored 4 with no reply. I'm not saying that's on Mudryk, but of course it was a talking point. He says, "Look, I've already spoken to Misha 5 or 6 times, I guess, since the game. I didn't speak to him after Wolves, as immediately after the game. He's very intelligent, so he will understand why he was taken off." Okay. Some stuff about the deadline changing as well that we'll leave for the moment. Gang dem, there's lots of stuff popping off with Chelsea. There's a whole group of players that are waiting to find assurances on their future, sales, if there's any chance of reintegration, maybe a chance for a couple of them, but highly unlikely. Of course, there's loads of players to go. Petrovic, Bergstrom, Kepa's going to Bournemouth, Disesi or Badiashile. We've had confirmation Badiashile staying. Disesi could go, Chalobah could go, Chilwell should go, Carney Chukwuemeka, what's going on with him? Cesare Cassidy, what's going on with him? Kellyman, I have a feeling Kellyman might just stay with the development squad, I don't know. Raheem Sterling, huge. Angelo Gabriel, what's going on with him? Lukaku to Napoli, Detro Fofana, what's going on with him? Armando Broja, you know, and Mark Gu, I feel like he will stay. Leo Castledane's gone on loan, Harvey Vale might go to Saudi, Tino Andrew, and of course has just been sold on a permanent as well. Woo! Still loads of players that could leave the door, and I will be here covering all the stories for you guys here in Football Therapy, multiple videos until that transfer window shuts, and then we will go back to probably one video a day. But do keep it locked, guys. Thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, and I do hope to see you back here very soon. Peace!